Picture this: every major world leader wants what America's built, but nobody wants America holding the off switch. It sounds like a geopolitical paradox, and it is, but it's happening right now. Countries from the European Union to the Middle East to parts of Asia are desperate to use cutting-edge AI systems like Claude, GPT-4, and Llama. They're investing billions into AI because they see it as the technology that determines economic and military power for the next decade. But here's what makes this situation wild. At the exact same time, these same governments are telling American companies, essentially, build us amazing AI, but give us versions that we control completely. No kill switches you can flip. No decisions made in Silicon Valley that affect our operations. No dependency on American servers or American infrastructure decisions. It's not about espionage or intellectual theft. It's about autonomy and sovereignty. Every country wants the technology, but nobody wants to be beholden to American foreign policy for accessing it. This tension is reshaping how AI gets developed, deployed, and regulated globally. And the companies stuck in the middle are facing an impossible choice. Do they build what the world's asking for, knowing it might undermine their own security? Or do they stick to their principles and lose massive markets? That's what's really happening behind the scenes. To understand this standoff, you need to know why American AI is so dominant in the first place. The United States didn't invent machine learning. Researchers around the world have contributed to AI breakthroughs for decades. But America won the race to scale it. Companies like OpenAI, Google DeepMind, Anthropic, and Meta have assembled the three critical ingredients: massive computing power. We are talking about data centers with tens of thousands of GPU chips, the kind of resources that cost hundreds of millions of dollars to build and operate. Second, access to enormous amounts of training data, everything from internet text to images to code. And third, venture capital and government funding that's allowed these companies to spend billions experimenting without worrying about quarterly earnings pressure. The result? America built the models that set the standard. GPT-4 from OpenAI, Claude from Anthropic, Llama from Meta. These are the systems that every other country wants. It's not that other countries can't innovate. Europe's working on their own models. China's DeepSeek is competitive. But the United States still leads on raw capability and scale. So now every government on Earth wants access to these American-built systems because they don't want to fall behind. But here's where the request gets uncomfortable. Governments aren't just asking to buy and use American AI. They're asking American companies to build AI systems that the United States government itself can't control or shut down. Think of it like this. Imagine selling a car to France, but France insists you can't install a remote stop button, can't track where it goes, and can't apply software updates that France hasn't personally approved. That's essentially what's happening in AI. Governments want models running on their own servers with zero cloud dependency on American infrastructure. They want assurance that if the United States imposes sanctions, their AI systems keep working. They want versions that can't be remotely updated or modified by the American companies that built them. Complete sovereignty. Now, for companies like OpenAI and Anthropic, this creates a real dilemma. You're legally bound by United States export controls and sanctions laws. You can't knowingly help countries that America has restricted from accessing advanced technology. But if you refuse to give them independent versions, you lose the entire market. You're trapped between legal obligations and economic survival. It's brilliant strategy from every government's perspective. They want all the benefits of American innovation without any of the American leverage. And this impossible choice is what's making the headlines right now. Let's look at some real examples of how this is playing out. The European Union passed the AI Act, which requires companies to maintain documentation and control over their AI systems, but Europe doesn't want to build its own frontier models. That's too expensive. So they want to import American AI and then modify it locally without American oversight. The United Kingdom is trying to position itself as an AI hub, but they want American models without British deployments hitting American export controls. The Middle East, the United Arab Emirates and Saudi Arabia especially, are investing massive amounts of money into AI infrastructure. They are telling American companies, bring us your best models, host them on our servers, and we'll handle everything else. We don't want cloud dependencies on California data centers. They want to build their own sovereign AI infrastructure using American technology at the foundation. China's doing something similar, but they are more independent because they've got Huawei, Alibaba, and Baidu developing local alternatives, even if those aren't quite as advanced as American models yet. But everywhere you look, Europe, the Middle East, Asia, the pattern is identical. Governments want American technology without American control. They're essentially saying, sell us the engine, but don't install a kill switch. This power dynamic isn't totally new. America has used technology as leverage before. In the Cold War, the Soviet Union wanted semiconductor manufacturing technology, but America wouldn't export it. With nuclear power, America controlled access to uranium enrichment knowledge for decades. With semiconductors, America used export restrictions against China to slow their chip industry. But AI is fundamentally different in one crucial way. It's intangible. You can't really prevent someone from using AI once they have the model weights. That's like trying to prevent someone from reading a book once it's printed. A nuclear reactor is a physical object you can control. A semiconductor factory is a facility you can monitor. But an AI model, once it's deployed on someone else's server, it's essentially uncontrollable. So the old playbook doesn't work. America can't maintain leverage the way it did with previous technologies. That's why governments are pushing so hard. They know that AI is the one technology where, once you have the model, American leverage mostly evaporates. So they're asking for versions they can run independently, knowing that once America hands it over, the game changes forever. This is actually a rational strategy from every government's perspective. They're trying to grab the technology while America still has it before the distribution becomes impossible to control. So what actually happens if governments win this argument? Well, first, you'd probably see a fragmented AI ecosystem. America continues developing frontier models. Europe builds its own AI stack independently. The Middle East develops sovereign AI systems. China's got its own path. Meanwhile, India, Brazil, and everyone else tries to figure out which model to build on or which country to partner with. Instead of one global frontier where everyone's collaborating and competing on the same models, you get regional silos. That could slow overall progress because you lose that network effect where innovation in one place immediately benefits everyone. Second, it creates security nightmares. If a country has a fully independent AI system that America can't see into or audit, how do we know it's not being used for malicious purposes? Disinformation campaigns, cyber attacks, bioweapon design. The asymmetry cuts both ways. Governments don't want American visibility, but that also means less transparency and more risk of misuse. Third, it changes the geopolitical game entirely. Right now, American companies have leverage. Once that leverage disappears, the next generation of AI development might not be driven by innovation or capability. It might be driven purely by which government has the most money or the most computing resources. And fourth, it could actually accelerate the very scenario everyone's afraid of. An AI system being used for something genuinely dangerous without anyone being able to stop it. So what can actually be done here? Well, if you're a government, you're probably going to keep pushing for what you want: sovereignty, independence, no American leverage. That's rational from a security standpoint. If you're an American company, you've got bad options. You could refuse to distribute to these countries, which means you lose markets and revenues, and eventually these countries build their own models anyway, so you lose twice. Or you give them what they want and hope that open source distribution or leaked weights don't immediately undermine your own capabilities. If you're the American government, this is genuinely thorny. You want American companies to lead globally because that's soft power and economic advantage. But you also want to maintain some leverage over world leaders who might use AI for harmful purposes. You can't have both in the long run. So what really needs to happen is negotiation on standards. Instead of every government demanding total sovereignty, maybe there's a middle ground. Governments get local deployment, local control of their data, and local computation. But there's transparency on how the AI is being used. There's accountability mechanisms. There's shared safety testing. Or maybe individual countries start treating AI models more like nuclear technology. something that requires international oversight and agreements. None of this is easy, but the alternative is fragmentation and higher risk. Here's what this moment actually means. We are at an inflection point where the advantage that America built through innovation and scale is about to become less meaningful. For the first time, countries can look at the most advanced technology on Earth and say, we want it, but on our terms. And because AI is software, not hardware or physical infrastructure, they actually have leverage. They can refuse to buy, they can invest in alternatives, they can demand conditions. America's technological dominance isn't permanent. It's going to erode gradually as other countries build their own models and as open-source AI becomes more capable. So right now, for the next few years probably, is the last window where America has meaningful leverage over the global AI ecosystem. And the countries of the world know this. That's why they're pushing so hard to get what they want without American control. The outcome of this negotiation will shape how AI develops globally for the next decade. Will it be collaborative and open, or fragmented and siloed? Will there be shared standards on safety, or will each region do whatever they want? The headlines you're seeing right now are really just the opening moves in a game that's going to determine the future of the technology that might become the most important tool humanity's ever created. Follow for daily AI news to see how this unfolds.